Hey folks, Carl here and welcome to episode 3 of Iteleri's motorcycle and sidecar. Okay folks, as you can see we are still not in primer yet, so I'm going to get these out of the way. Over there. I'll put that somewhere safe. So this episode we are going to be concentrating on the framework for the sidecar. Now by the looks of it, there's not a huge amount to this. So yeah, it's literally 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 stages. So we should get through this reasonably quick. And if we do, if there's no issues or any problems, we are going to move on to putting together the forks and possibly even the handlebars. We shall see. So we are going to be needing to start off with this sprue, because this has the main body of the frame, which is this piece and this piece. So we will get those nipped out. There's one. Is the other. So we're looking at this. Let's just very quickly put it together. See what the joins are going to be like, see how much work we're going to need to do. So I'm looking at this. We need to trim all the nubs and everything off first before we can get it to sit together, but it looks like it's not going to be too bad. So I'm going to get everything trimmed off, get this together, see what it's like. If it's okay, I shall continue and I shall start recording as and when we have some problems. Talk to you in a moment. Okay folks, so the main part of the frame is together. We'll zoom in a little bit, always the wrong way. So what we've added onto here so far is this piece. Now in the instruction it shows you to put this together and put it in there before gluing the two sides together. I never noticed that and glued these sides together, but this pushes in just fine when it is together. It's a nice solid push and click as it gets into place. And we've also put the two halves of this on. I don't know if you can see, but there is a little bit of a seam line. Thankfully there is no gaps, so we can just go ahead and once this is dry, get all those seam lines sanded down and smoothed out. So we've applied some additional pressure with some clamps as it was drying, so it has actually extruded out a little bit, and that will of course fill those seams in quite nicely and allow us to sand it back and not leave a seam line in this. For this stage here, part 10, we've only got 2 more pieces to add, and that is what looks like some form of tow hook, and this looks like some sort of gasket. I don't know what it's for. It could even be the spindle for the axle, where the axle goes through off the back wheel of the motorbike that's obviously being driven by the chain, and this goes through underneath the frame, because I think it sits here somewhere on one of these, yeah, right there, and I think that comes through, and the back wheel of the sidecar fits here. So I'm going to get those pieces added. We're then going to let this dry, get it sanded down, and we shall be back. Okay folks, so we are cleaning up this section. We're not making a superb job, just a quick test fit. So this is going to be sitting like so. That locating pin there fits onto this part, so that sits on there, and then there's some spring levers to put on the back of there, so we aren't going to see much of this side. We're not going to see much of this or any of the inside, but we are going to be seeing some of this side. So I'm going to spend most of my time cleaning up this side. We don't need to do anything with this because this will have a wheel thing over the top of it. So I'm going to clean this part up all nice and neat inside there and across the back here, and we're going to call that part clean and tidy, and then we can carry on putting the rest of the bits and pieces on. We've got this piece on now. It's not glued in, doesn't need to be, it's just sitting there loose. Maybe we can have something turning, we shall see. And then there's a hook that sits on the back of here as well, which again I don't think I'm going to glue in. I'm going to leave it loose so we can actually play with it. We'll see. If we keep losing it, we'll glue it in place. If not, we'll leave it as it is. So I'm going to carry on. Like I say, get this piece cleaned up. This piece cleaned up. I don't know what I said there. Anyway, I shall be back shortly. Okay, folks. So we have. Okay, folks. So we are moving on, and we have so far one side of the suspension fitted. The reason for this is so we can actually keep putting things on. We've also put the bar on the bottom of there so we can keep putting things on, playing and test fitting, because we will need to fix this to this base in order to get the other one on, because it will slide on and then hook in. Well, they actually hook in. It's a very slight hook on the front. I don't know if you can see that. So they hook in that way and on. And the instructions, it tells you to put them both on before putting this on, but then of course you've got to stretch them out and push them back in. And the one on this side also has some brackets and stuff, so you may very well want to do all of this work first. And there's of course this bracket on the bottom and this one here that wraps around the wheel arch, so that sits on there and that sits on the back of there. So this is currently drying, so we are leaving this be, and we are currently working on cleaning up all these other parts that finish off building this bit up. We've also put a rubber grommet on the inside of there. So slowly but surely we're moving on. So wait for this to dry, get the rest of these bits and pieces cleaned up, get them onto that frame, and we are close to finished with that. So I shall be back shortly. Okay folks, so this part is now complete, and as you can see we have the mudguard stroke wheel arch on. We've got the frames for the light in place. This is all on. Got a little bracket on the front of here. It's sat a little bit low, so what we've done is we put it right on the edge, and then we've just filed it down and tidied it up so it looks like it should be there. It was hanging down a little bit. For putting this on, I found that because it moved itself, don't push it right to the top, don't push it right to the bottom, and then because if you push it right to the top you can't get this rear bracket on properly. If you push it right to the bottom, sorry, right to the top, yeah, you can't get this on. You push it right to the bottom, this bracket doesn't fit on correctly. So that is on. We've also gone and put this second spring on for the suspension on the sidecar, and what we did is we mounted the sidecar on, hooked it all up to all this side. We then put this piece in place, glued it here, and then we propped it up with a little bit of blue tack underneath this, so just so it held it in place, because if you don't, all the weight of this pushes this down and puts this out of place. It actually disconnects it from here. So prop the back of that up and it holds in place. Leave it for about 10-15 minutes, and then these do have a little bit of play, so you can actually pull this to one side and take the sidecar out. So that is that part complete. We still have the hook loose. So we shall see when we come to paint if that stays in place and we can keep it moving. So there we go, that part is done. So that is a complete assembly. As far as I'm aware, there might be some more stuff later in the book that it needs some more bits and pieces added. Obviously there's going to be a wheel on there. So the next part we're going to move on to is the front forks. So I am going to start prepping up and cleaning up those parts, and I shall be back shortly. Okay folks, so I've just spent the last few hours building up these forks. As you can see, they're all the component parts are here. Now I followed these instructions on how I thought it should be done. So I started off here and I saw this part here. If I lift this up and show you, and now to me this part looks like you should glue these little parts onto the base of this. Then these parts go through that, you glue those on, and then the spring sits on top. You then put these together and then that slides over the top of that. That is the way I read these instructions. So I got up to this point, all done, and then I did a quick test fit on the bike, and the forks looked like they were sitting way too high. Got all this recorded, and then I looked at this picture and it completely changed the way you have to put these together, because this part that's down here then pushes up onto the neck of this here. So effectively you start off, I started off and I glued those in place right there, both of them, before these parts were stuck on. I then fed these parts through that, then put these on top and fitted it to the bike like that. I built up the base of the light as well, so I could make sure it was glued in the right place for holding the light. Now thankfully these push down quite nice, and there's actually a groove for them to go into on there, so those go in there like that. But these again are wrong. These little circular parts are supposed to be glued on top of there, and then these parts actually glue around this while it's sitting like so. So you effectively, you have to have that, you would have this part up through there, you would glue that little circle on onto there, rest the spring on, and then glue these two halves over the side of this so it holds, so this part holds this part, and then you would push the whole lot through and push it into place like so. Thankfully, when I take these and I push them into place, it does actually have a little bit of a click, and it does hold in place and still functions as a suspension. So I was lucky and I got away with it. All I'm going to say is read the instructions, then read them again, and that is what your final thing should look like. There's another part that goes on the top there which holds it all quite nicely in place like so, and obviously this is connected to the front of the bike. So that is the forks on. I'm going to go get the bike over and we'll put this on so you can take a look and see what it looks like. So I shall be back in a moment. Okay folks, so there we are. That is the forks fitted. They're only dry fitted and they do still move. So when we glue this in place, I'm hoping that we can keep that movement, and then we can pose the bike how we want to. The headlights do fit in there. Those will be glued in place once it's dry. Oh, it's all starting to fall apart. So there we have the forks done. The frame for the sidecar, of course, you've already seen. I've gone and put some sprue glue in there just to fill. There was a few holes and stuff, So we filled that in, so I'm just going to give that a bit of a sand down, and that is that done. So I'm going to call this video here because I'm not sure how long it's gone on for. Like I say, there's a good few hours of filming that I've got to cut out for building these forks, which went completely wrong, but I've shown you what I did wrong, so hopefully you don't make the same mistake, if of course you're building this. So what is going to be next? Next we are probably going to get the wheels built up. I'm not sure where they are in the instructions because we have not followed these instructions at all. So building the wheels is somewhere, and you know, I've not actually seen where it is. Here we are. So we're going to be building these wheels, but looking on the sprues there's quite a bit of flash, and of course there's all this section to do on the back of here. There's going to be all this part as well, and then there's some leverages and stuff like that to put on the bike. So some of this we will get built up, but it won't actually go on the bike, it will be left off and painted separately so we can actually get in and paint stuff. And I think for the construction that is going to be it. So there we go, we are front forks on. Oh, what we can do is we can get this sidecar, we can show you how big this thing is starting to look. So this just sits this way round. So it sits, there's a little hole, little nub there that fits in said hole. That fits on the front of there, and then these pull out like so. It says nice and easy. So there we have the sidecar fitted onto the mount, and of course this mount then fits onto the side of the bike somewhere around here. That fits onto there. So there's obviously this is going to fit onto the back wheel. So we are starting to look quite a size now. So yeah, can't wait till it's all together. We can actually start getting some paint on it. We can actually start making it look a little bit more realistic. So there we go. That is where we are up to. So next episode, wheels, and finish off all the little bits of detail. So as always, thank you very much for watching. Be good, be safe, more importantly keep making models, and we will catch you next time. Ta-ta.